Last night, Mavis released a really important update about how breeding is going to be changing and the costs associated to it, and this is going to have a really big impact not only on the price of Axies but also the price of SLP, which I know is very important to many of you watching. So in this video, I'm going to run through the update, everything that they said in it, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the economics, and we're going to bust out the spreadsheet and look at the numbers. Now, Mavis has admitted that right now, as far as costs go for breeding, there's a disproportionate cost of AXS versus SLP. So right now, AXS makes up the vast majority of the overall cost to breed Axies, and that's really not what they intended when they made both of these tokens. They want SLP to be the driving factor and the driving cost in Axie breeding. So this change is going to help fix that a little bit. So instead of costing 2 AXS to breed, it's going to cost 1. So that means, the first time that you breed your Axies, it's going to be 1 AXS. Same with the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh time instead of 2. So that right there is going to make SLP more valuable. They also are adjusting how much SLP is going to be required to do the breeding. So I'm going to show that graph right now on the screen. Now, as you can see, that's definitely a solid bump in the amount of SLP that you need to breed an Axie, but more importantly, cutting the AXS requirement in half is going to have a huge effect because one of two things are going to happen. Either the price of Axies are going to go down quite a bit to make up for the fact that you're losing one of the AXS tokens in the breeding process, which, the AXS token is by far the most expensive token in this whole transaction, or you're going to see the price of SLP rise to meet the growing demand for Axies. That's just my personal opinion. It's not financial advice or anything like that, but I really think that, there's been a lot of people that have kind of been ripping on the game as the price of SLP has gone down, but that's really been more of a function of the amount of SLP that's been minted versus the amount that's been burned. That's kind of a highly publicized fact over the last month or so. The reason why we've been seeing the price of SLP nosedive is just the fact that we have had that minting burning imbalance. So I think that this update that Mavis just released last night is going to have a really strong effect on the overall supply of SLP, not to mention the Ronin index and all the other things that are coming down the pipe that are going to help stabilize the price of SLP. But now I'm going to bust out the spreadsheet and we're going to take a look at how this is going to impact the overall breeding cost for Axies. So as you can see on the far left, I have the number of times you breed your Axies, and obviously the more you breed your Axies, the more expensive it gets. That's why a lot of breeders will only breed their Axies up to like 3 to 5 times, because the more you breed them, the more expensive it gets. And if it's more expensive to breed your Axie, then there's more risk that you might not make your money back on that final breed. So I have this broken down into 2 primary sections, the before and the after. As you can see, it used to cost 2 AXS to breed, now it costs 1. And then here's the new SLP requirements for breeding. So here's before, and here is after. Now as you can see right here, this is the current cost to breed Axies, and this is what it's now gonna cost to breed Axies. So as you can see, currently it's gonna be a little bit cheaper to breed Axies just because they got rid of the AXS requirement and the SLP requirement is coming up, but what that's going to do is it's going to drive up the price of SLP. So this is what it currently looks like before the price of SLP goes up. Now if we kind of consider the fact that SLP might raise to, I don't know, let's say 13 cents. So now this is what the cost of breeding will look like based on a price hike. So as you can see, maybe that first particular breed that you do might cost a similar amount, same with the second, but as you get into the third, fourth, fifth breed, it's going to get a lot more expensive. And in the far right column, I actually have the percentage change of the overall cost of breeding these Axies if you are going to end up seeing an overall price increase for SLP. Now when you make such a big economic move like they've made here, it's definitely going to have some sort of impact on the prices. So SLP, it's probably going to move. I would guess it would go up. I'm not exactly sure. But also we're gonna see this change the price of Axies. So as you can see, the first time you breed an Axie, it's gonna actually be pretty darn cheap. Unless the price of SLP goes up quite a bit, it's gonna be a lot cheaper to get that first breed in, and then it's gonna get more expensive a lot faster now that they moved those SLP numbers. So that could mean a number of things. It's also possible that maybe floor Axies maybe go down a little bit or stay about the same, and then more of the premium Axies end up getting a little bit higher. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to watch it the next few weeks or the next few months even. Now this is a change that a lot of people have been asking for quite a long time. So I think not only when you look at just the economic effects of how this might change the game, I think overall it's just gonna send everything upwards. And like I said before, this is not financial advice, but when people are excited and bullish on what's going on with a project, it's just gonna send everything into the green. And so this is just in the very, very short term, you know, less than 24 hours. This is what's happened to the price of AXS and SLP. And as you can see, that's a pretty big jump, and the reason why that jump is big is because, like I said, a lot of people have been asking for this exact change. So I think more people are getting bullish on the game as a result of this change, and that's just healthy for the overall economy. Now I'm gonna link down below in the description of this video the exact update that was sent out from Sky Mavis, so you can read the whole thing if you want. But right now I'm just gonna recap a little bit of what they put at the very, very back end of this write-up, and I'm actually gonna read it word for word so you can get a good idea of exactly what's going through their head. We've been looking at data around Axie breeding economy for weeks now, and this is what we've observed. Growth, while still strong, has been slowing down due to concerns over an imbalance in the amount of SLP minted versus burned per day. Volatility in AXS and SLP price has caused large fluctuations in the breeding fee. AXS as a portion of the breeding fee has inflated, which has taken away from SLP's utility within our economy. AXS is now over 80% of the breeding fee. And that's what we had talked about before, that definitely Sky Mavis does not want that to be the case. They want SLP to be the driving cost in breeding. Today's breeding fee changes come as a result of these observations. We know many of you are excited about this change, and we are still early in our journey, but we're learning every day. Now here, in my opinion, is some of the most interesting stuff that might be coming down the pipeline, so make sure to listen up to this last paragraph where they say, while we are currently making these changes manually, long term, we'd like to outsource management of the economy either to intelligent machines or informed members of the Axie community. We hope to ultimately implement an auto-balancing system that will adjust the AXS and SLP portions of the breeding fee to be both stable in dollar and fiat terms and in relation to one another. This is a bit harder technically, but something that we hope to roll out in the future. That is a really interesting thing, that they might be doing more auto-balancing systems in the future to maintain the right balance of AXS and SLP for breeding. But regardless, what we have now I think will help the economy, and it's going to be great for the overall health of this game. And that's why I'm really excited about these changes, and I know that a lot of you are as well too. So if you found this video useful, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because I have a lot more Axie content coming, in-depth Axie content, whether it's on the economics, whether it's on breeding, or it's just on battling in the arena, or how to get more SLP. I'm going to be talking about a lot of topics in the future, and I want to thank you for watching to the end. We'll see you in the next one.